Hi guys, thanks for tuning in again for week 2 for puppy school. So this week I'll talk to you about nutrition, environmental enrichment, how to keep your puppy or dog occupied when you're not at home, so whether you're at work or going to the shops. Also talking about food aggression and lead aggression, teaching a dog how to lay down and walking on a loose lead. Lay, drop or down, all different commands you can use for that lay position. I personally use the word lay for my dogs as I use drop for giving the toys back. Down is when I want them to get off something. So if you were to use drop or down as your command for that lay position, you would use ta or give for those toys, and you would use off to get them off something. It is really important to only have one word for each command. So if you do have more than one person in the household, please just have a little discussion and decide on what word you are going to use as a family. So teaching your dog how to lay. So the first step is to get them into a sitting position. Show them the treat and hold it at their nose and then slowly bring it down. Once their stomach's on the ground, lay, good girl. Once the stomach is on the ground and they're in that lay position, that is when you would say the command and give them that treat. Okay, so slowly bringing it down, lay, good girl. As soon as her stomach's on the ground, that's when I say it. Another way to teach your dog how to lay down if they're not doing it from nose to the ground with the treat, what you can do is make a little tunnel with your legs, hold the treat with the hand that your dog is on the opposite side to, hold that under the tunnel from your legs and slowly bring them under and get them into like an army crawl. And then when they do go into that lay position, say the command and give them that treat. Another way to try and get your dog to lay down is you can put them in a corner or in between someone else's legs, get them to sit there. They can't back out of that sit position then if that's what you're struggling with, and try and get them to lay down from there. If for any reason your puppy freaks out from being in a corner or in between someone else's legs, please just stop, give them a break. You don't want them to freak out or be uncomfortable. If your dog has a preference to what side they do lay on, you can use that to an advantage to teach them how to lay. So what you would do is bring the treat to their nose and slowly bring it down, and then rotate that treat to the side of their face, to the side that they do normally fall on, and that will help you get them into a lay. For your puppies, you do want to make sure you are using a complete balanced diet for them, and also the correct size and weight range for them. So if you've got a small breed dog, that is what you would be using, versus if you've got a large breed dog and you would need a large breed dog food as well. So there are plenty of different brands out there. I personally use Royal Canin for my dogs. I do also like Hills, Eukanuba or Advance. They are high quality dog foods to use for your puppy, and they are nutritionally balanced, and I do trust those brands. If you're feeding your puppy foods other than dry food, you do need to make sure that comes out of their daily intake. So say if your dog was getting 2 cups a day and you were doing a cup in the morning and a cup at night time, you would need to take out a little handful for everything else that you do put in there. So if you're doing meat with their dry food or veggies, you do need to take out their dry food. Now that is also taking out their nutritionally balanced diet. So the best thing you can do is just feed them their dry food. It's got everything that they need in it for their growth and development. For your puppies, you should be doing 3 meals up until 12 weeks of age, and then going down to 2 meals after that. Once they are an adult, you can decide whether you do want to only do 1 meal per day. For my adult dogs, I still do 2, or they get their food through their daily intake through treats or environmental enrichment, which I'll go through. If you do decide to feed your dog 1 meal a day once they do reach adulthood, I would suggest doing it in the morning so they have time to wear off that food. Outward signs of a poor quality diet: poor skin and coat, occasional loose stools or large volume, fluctuance, an unhealthy body score. So if you can see your dog's ribs, they're too skinny. If your dog doesn't have a waistline, they are too overweight and their food might be higher in fat. or they might be getting too much of it. Deep-chested dogs like greyhounds, mastiffs, ridgebacks and Great Danes should have their bowl raised so that they are not lowering their neck to eating. But also for every dog, it doesn't hurt to have a bowl raised so they aren't having any ingestion problems. Also waiting half an hour before and after eating before you do any exercise. Are these cups the same size or are they different? They are actually the same size cup. So this one here, the measurement goes right to the top, just like our cooking measuring cups. So you would fill it up and you would run your hand over it until no food can come out, and that would be a cup measurement there. Now this one here, the measurement is down here. So you can definitely overflow this cup by half a cup, just by not feeding them down to the measurement. You don't want to overfill the cup because then you'll be overfeeding your dog. Also, you don't want to use your hands to measure out the food. Your husband might feed your dog one day, his hands are bigger than yours, or one day your kids might feed your dog. So there's no consistency there with the measuring with your hands for your dog. You do want to use a cooking measuring cup, so the measurement is right to the top. You can get those measuring cups to the size of the amount that your dog needs each day. So if they only have a quarter of a cup per meal, you would use a quarter of a cup measuring cup each time. Run your hand over the top until no pieces of food can come out, and then that is your quarter of your cup. Or you can weigh out your food. Toxic food for your puppy or dog. Please have a read through the list that I have put up for you guys. Also, there is a list of fruits that they can have, other things that they can have, but you might need to take something out, and definite no-nos, and then all the vegetables that they can have also. So if anyone's struggling with their dog or puppy eating very quickly, we should try and get them to slow down. This version, there's ones that look like this as well, just different shapes. The really hard ones look like this with the spirals. It takes a lot of work to get the food out of these sort of bowls. And then there is these two versions here, and they're quite flat on the ground. They're good for your brachycephalic dogs. If you've got an inside dog or you live in an apartment and you don't have a backyard, you can buy or make these sort of mats. They're called snuffle mats. They're just made out of felt and a Bunnings rubber door mat, and you cut all the felt up and tie them on. They can have dinner on it. You throw the food on it, hides it in there. They have to scavenge it and find it. You can also use your shaggy bath mats. These little ones here that suction onto your normal bowl, so the base of your normal bowl, and they have to eat around the bone. There's also these weighted balls that you can buy, or you can just throw the food out on the grass and they have to find it. And I will talk about some other toys that you can use. So you don't have to actually use a dinner bowl for your dog to have their dinner or breakfast. It can be toys. Avoid begging behaviour. Avoid feeding your dog from the dinner table. If you have scraps left over, wait at least 10 minutes before you give it to the dog, and take it out to their bowl so they don't associate it with the dinner table and food from you guys. If your dog is sitting at you giving those puppy dog eyes or salivating, that is a begging behaviour for that food, because they have learnt if they sit there, they're going to get something from you. So please avoid that. You'll never be able to sit on the lounge if you do this, and if you have guests over, they're just going to pester your guests as well. Feeding 2 or more dogs together. I would start off by having at least one person in between the dogs, or having them on either side of the kitchen bench, just to have a safety gap in case one of them was to run to the other dog's bowl and there's some form of food aggression there. When you can, and when it is safe to do so, you would slowly move them closer together and see if that makes a difference and see how they cope. If the aim is for you to have them sitting together, eating together, that is what you'll be slowly working to. It's not a quick process, and you do have to take your time with it. Helping with food aggression. So for starters, you never want to take food off your dog unless it is a toxic thing that you must take off them. That's a little bit different other than just taking food off them. If you give your dog a bone or a treat, never take it off them. That's not how they learn. That is how they get food aggression, because every time they've had something, someone takes it off them. If you want to avoid food aggression, what you need to do is at dinner time, say if they get a cup full of food, give them a quarter of a cup and sit there and just keep adding the rest in while they're eating. You don't want to take the food away from them, it's always adding more in. So if a child does go up to the dog's food bowl and take food out, the dog thinks they got food added, and then that aggression doesn't start. They're happy, they think they've got more food, and no one gets hurt. There's over 700 plants and flowers that are toxic to your pets. So please have a look at those. And if you do have any, make sure your dog can't get to them or replant them somewhere else or get rid of them. Keeping your dog or puppy occupied and active while you're not at home. So no matter what time period it is that you leave the house, you should be occupying your dog through activity toys, interactive ones that they get treats out of playing with, or it moves while your puppy or dog plays with it. And that way your dog isn't going to get bored or have separation anxiety or other behaviours that are unwanted, like digging, barking, escaping the yard. If you make your backyard a fun environment for your dog, they're not going to want to leave and they're going to be happy and content while you're away. Separation anxiety is a really big thing with dogs these days. It's really important to get your puppy used to not having you around all the time. Leaving them for an hour each day and building on that to up to 8 hours is a really important thing to get them used to. Separation anxiety can also lead to behaviours like digging, barking and escaping. So with digging can be a normal dog behaviour through boredom and trying to explore the backyard as well. In the summer, they might dig a hole to try and get cool from the dirt underneath the ground. But giving them an outlet so that they can dig is really important because it is a natural dog behaviour. So giving them a shell pool or making them a dog pit is a great idea. If you are going to use a shell pool, I would use sand instead of dirt because in summertime you might have a mud pit. Barking behaviour can be if they see a bird in the backyard or a neighbour looking over the fence or another dog running up and down your fence line. It can be a lot of things. So with barking behaviour, if you do get a complaint or you are concerned about your dog barking, I would suggest setting up a camera to see what they are actually barking at and working from there. Escaping behaviour can be if they're not desexed, but it also can be through boredom and not having enough to do, so they're looking for other ways to occupy themselves. With escaping, you do need to make sure your fences are secure, so underneath and over the top, so they need to be high enough and low enough so that your dog can't escape, but also another dog can't come into your yard and harm your dog. Kong, one of my favourite brands for your puppy or dog's toys. So for the Kong ranges, there are 4 different ones to choose from. You've got your Kong Puppy, Kong Senior, Kong Classic and Kong Extreme. So for the Kong Puppy, it is one of their softest rubbers. It's for beginner chewers and designed for puppies' teeth and gums. Then for your Kong Senior, they are purple for light chewers again, and it is designed for aging teeth and gums. Then you've got your Kong Classic, which are red for your average chewers. So your normal average dog that is going to chew a toy and be content with chewing that one. It is a durable rubber. It is a lot harder than the puppy Kongs and senior Kongs, but it's not as durable as your Kong Extreme. Now your Kong Extreme are black, and that is for your power chewers. So the dogs that are going to chew through anything and destroy toys, that is the Kong for you. If you are going to buy a Kong product for a puppy up until 6 months of age, you should be using the Kong Puppy brands. And then once they do have their adult teeth, that's when you can start purchasing the Kong Classic or the Kong Extreme if you need to. So I'll just go through some other Kong products that I do have. Now this one is like a dog bowl. It rocks back and forth on the ground while your dog's nose is in it. And if you can see the holes, you pop the food in, you wriggle it around so it goes into the green section. And when the dog's moving, 1 to 2 pieces comes out at a time. It all comes apart for easy cleaning as well, so you don't have to worry there. There is this one, which is a Kong product as well. It looks more like a snail shell. You throw all the treats up the top here, wriggle them back and forth, and your dog can bounce it around or rock it back and forth to get the food out. This one's a good alternative for inside. It's got a little bit of a protection layer for your walls, and they just have to roll it along the ground. There is one hole and the food has to come out there. Again, it just unscrews and that comes off for easy cleaning as well. The last one is a Kong wobbler. The bottom is sand and it rocks back and forth as well. And this is the holder of the treat. So it can hold, I think it's 2.5 cups worth of food there. This is the extra large one and the treats just come out of this hole. Now this is a very old version. The new version, it's just a circle hole. This product is also from Kmart. It has different holes in it to determine how many holes you do want open. At one time, the treats just go down the bottom, roll on the ground, the treats fall out. This one is also from Kmart. It's a little avocado. You open it up. It does come with a ball in the middle. You can get rid of that and you can put a handful of treats in there or their dog food and close it back up. And your dog has to open it to find the treats. Now this one's only really good if your dog isn't going to destroy a plush toy. Switching out your dog's toys every second day is a really good idea so your dog doesn't become bored of certain toys. It doesn't have to be every single toy that you switch out, it could just be 1 or 2. Puzzles. So you can buy puzzles for your dog to do. It's not your jigsaw puzzle, it's these type of ones. So they are made out of wood or blocks or plastic. You hide the treats in it, cover it back over, and your dog has to find it. This one is probably the easiest one you can get. And there's these ones here, same thing, you hide the treat, cover it over, and they have to knock it out with their feet or their nose and find it. This one here, pick it out, find it like the other one. These ones are a little bit harder, so they have to move each layer to find the treat with those ones there. And this one is based like on a pizza type one, and again they move it around. They can pull this one off and get a really good treat in the middle. And then there is this one here as well. So you hide the treat in there, you cover it back over, and they have to knock it open to get the treat. So there's plenty of different options. All of those ones are just from Kmart. Toys you can buy or make. If you are using any of the plastic bottles to make any toy, you just need to detach the lid and the plastic ring around it and discard it as soon as your dog starts chewing the bottle and making it sharp and unsafe. So you can make a Kong out of a plastic bottle or a decored apple. You can do dog bungee play tug-of-war toys out of totem tennis poles or around a tree or a low-hanging branch or beam. You can do dog jungle gyms, same thing as the dog bungee cords. You can do that on the totem tennis pole or branches or beams as well as the one pictured. Frozen treats with toys and food inside, snuffle mats, interactive blankets. You can make puzzle toys for your dog using baking trays and tennis balls and treats, or toilet rolls in a dish with treats. You can make bottle toys. You can have it on a rope and the dog has to knock it around until the treats fall out. You can make PVC pipe with holes in it and the dog has to roll it around till the treats fall out of the holes. Or you could do licky mats as well, and you can use the silicone mats that you can buy for cooking, or you can put it on a soft surface, flat surface like a glass sliding door or a colorbond fence. As long as it's not in direct sunlight, you can do that. Toys I would avoid if you have kids are anything that might be mistaken as a dog toy. So fluffy toys, soccer balls, fake shoes, anything that you can think of that your kids have, I wouldn't buy toys for your puppy or dog that look like it. Otherwise, your dog doesn't know the difference if they're going to get their toy or your child's toy, and it's not fair on your puppy or dog to do that. You should, if you can, have a kid's toy room up one end of the house and the dog's toys down the other end of the house so that there is no miscommunication of where the toys are at or what they can play with. For my dogs, when I go out or to work, they both get 2 Kongs each to their size, filled up with their normal dry food out of their daily intake and sealed off with peanut butter. I make them the night before and freeze them just so it takes them a little bit longer to get through. They also get about 10 freezer molds. Again, I do that overnight, fill it up with water, 2 pieces of kibble in it, pop it out in the morning and scatter it around the backyard. And then they get a cup full of kibble scattered around the backyard as well. And that altogether takes them about, say, 15 to 20 minutes to get through. And then there's toys and activity toys in the backyard for them to play with as well. So they say if you get your dog or puppy through the first 20 minutes of you leaving the house, they should be fine for the rest of the day. So that's when that separation anxiety kicks in and behaviour problems do. So if you can work off what they like, so whether it's food or treats, then you'll have them occupied through that time and also throughout the day. So if you can put toys around the backyard that are going to interact with them throughout the day, that's going to work a lot better for you. Or you can even set up a camera and see what your dog or puppy does throughout the day and work from there. If you have a puppy, you shouldn't be taking your dog out for a walk until they are fully vaccinated. So for anyone, you would want to practice this exercise in your backyard first. Once they have 100% mastered that, you would move on to your front yard. And again, once they've mastered that, you would move out to the front pathway or road where you can walk in your street. And the aim then would be able to walk around your street without any issues. And then once you can do that, you should be able to walk anywhere. But when you do get out of your street, I would suggest taking them to low populated areas with dogs just to keep practicing and then slowly move on from there. If your dog is too distracted on their walk and they're not listening or learning, take them home, try again in an hour or so. You're not going to get anywhere if they're not cooperating with you. Getting your dog to walk on a loose lead. When you're starting off, you will need treats on you at all times. So whether that is having a treat pouch on, a bum bag, or just clothing with pockets so you can easily access. And the aim is to always have a bend in that lead. So as soon as it goes tight and straight, that is when you want to stop. Wait till your dog calms down and lure them back to you, get them to sit. Don't give them a treat for that because they were pulling, and just start walking again. Every time they're beside you and doing the correct thing, you're going to give them a treat. You might get a dog looking up at you, waiting for those treats, and that's fine. They're occupied on you then. So if a dog walks past, they're not going to react. They're only going to be focused on getting those treats. Every time your dog is next to you and doing the correct thing, you give them a treat. So it could be 3 to 5 steps and you're going to give them a treat while they're learning. If your dog gets distracted or too excited about a dog approaching, what you would do is get them focused back onto you and start walking the opposite direction. For a while, you might look silly to other people, but if you can get your dog redirected onto you and move away, that is going to help you out through life. And then they're focused on you through the walk. They're not worried about other dogs approaching or worried about that environment and things going on around them. Again, every time your dog pulls, I want you to stop. I don't want you to pull back on their lead. I just want you to try and get their attention back onto you, whether that's showing them a treat, putting it in front of their nose and bringing them back into a sit next to you. Once they are calm again, that's when you would start walking. Another thing on your walks, it is really important if you do see someone approaching, say hello, be friendly on your walk. So then you can get an idea of what sort of dog they have. So if you say hello to that person and they don't respond to you, take that as, well, they're not very friendly, let's think the dog's not friendly, let's move out of their way and let them walk past. And if you do have to do that, get your dog to sit in front of you, start feeding them treats so they are only distracted on you, let them walk past and then move off again. If that person talks back to you, just say, is your dog friendly? Is it okay for them to say hello? If so, let them have a little play or a sniff and then move on again. Or if they say, no, sorry, not very friendly, again, move to the side, let them walk past. When you are on a walk with your dog, it is about them, it is their exercise, it's also environmental enrichment for them. Smelling the trees, marking over a different scent, smelling a different dog scent tells them a bit of a story, what kind of breed it was, female, male, desexed, not desexed, if they're aggressive, if they're friendly. So smelling the different trees along the walk and having a sniff on the ground, it's telling them a bit about the environment and who's been there before. With my dogs, I like to walk them to a certain destination. So when I get to that point, they can come off lead or be a dog, smell every tree, have a play, and then on the way home and the way there, they walk perfectly, but they still have that outlet of, as soon as we get to that destination, they can do whatever they like. They can wee on every tree, they can smell every plant and have a run around. So if you were to walk to the beach, that would be your outlet and then you walk nicely home, or you could have the first 5 minutes of the walk about them and then they walk nicely as well. It's up to you. Don't forget to take poo bags on your walk, also some treats, whether that's in a treat pouch or in your pocket, and using high value treats, so something that you don't normally use in the house for training. These are the type of leads I don't recommend. Retractable leads encourage your dog to not walk next to you. It is to get them to pull. Also, stretchy leads can give that pull effect as well because they kind of bounce back every time they do get in front of you. So they do want to pull against it. And I wouldn't recommend chain leads as they are a little bit heavier, and anything too heavy on your dog's neck or chest is going to cause a problem. Any harness that goes above the shoulder joints and is comfortable for the dog. Anything that causes discomfort to your puppy or dog isn't something I would recommend. So there are types of collars and harnesses that I definitely don't recommend. So ones that go below or on the shoulder joints causes discomfort, puts pressure on those joints that it shouldn't. Front clip harnesses can put pressure on those joints as well because you're pulling the lead on their shoulders. Check chains, choke chains, your zap collars, citronella spray barking collars, gentle leaders, and your halties can cause discomfort as well. If you're walking more than one dog by yourself or with someone else, just make sure their noses are at the same point so no one's in front of each other. Otherwise, you might get that pulling effect to try and compete of who's in the front. You can walk them on a split lead, which is best if you are walking them by yourself, and it just looks like a Y. And the good ones, you can have adjustable straps on each end so their noses can be at the same level and you're not having to worry there. If you have another dog at home and they aren't trained on walking on a lead, I would recommend walking them separately for now until they're both fully trained and then slowly bring them together. What side to walk your dog on, left or right? The correct answer is both. I change my dogs up to what side I walk them on. In case I have to change sides of the road, I like to walk them away from the traffic. So if they were to ever dart across me to get into the traffic lane, I can step in front of them and save them. Also, if there's an aggressive dog coming and that person can't change what side their dog is walking on, it's a lot easier for me to be able to change the side my dog's on and stand in between my dog and the aggressive dog approaching. Lead aggression. To start off with your puppy, you should pop your puppy's harness and lead on them and give them treats. Let them walk around the house with it on so they do get used to the feel of it, and associate it with a good thing. So like treats, rewards, pats, praise, and that will encourage them to like being on a lead. If your puppy starts to chew on the lead, take it off them straight away, then pop it back on, leave it on for 5-10 minutes while you are watching them and playing with them with it on, and just keep doing that all day while you're at home, every day for a couple of weeks. It doesn't have to be long, it's just every day to get them used to it. If your dog is never allowed to approach another dog on lead and always has a bad experience, that will cause lead aggression. So it is really important to only approach friendly dogs when you are on lead. If you come up to an aggressive dog, refocus them back onto you and walk the other direction so they aren't having a bad experience. So if you feel anxious on a walk and you're nervous in regards to another dog approaching or a person approaching, your dog will be anxious and nervous as well. All your feelings do get passed on to the dog, so just be mindful, keep yourself calm. If you're not comfortable with the situation, get out of that situation so then you're not putting your dog through that either. It's really important to remember not every dog is going to like each other. Your dog isn't going to like every dog or every human, so please be mindful of that. Also, they're just like us. We don't like everyone, we don't get along with everyone. We can walk away from that situation. Your dog can't. They rely on you to get them out of a bad situation. So watch their body language and what they're trying to tell you if they're not comfortable or if they do want to approach that person or dog as well. Teaching your dog to focus on you. So I give them a look command. So what you can do is get them into a sit position, and you can just do this at home while they're learning. Get them into a sit position, hold the treat at their nose and slowly bring the treat up to your eyes. As soon as your dog makes eye contact at you, you say look or focus, whatever word you do choose. And out on a walk, that is going to help. Also with other training like stay or wait and everything really. So if they're barking or something, you can say, Zena, look, and then they're going to look back at you, get redirected and focused back on something good, and then you can put them into a training session or take them into the backyard or do something else with them other than the undesired behaviour. Thank you for tuning in for week 2 puppy school. If you do have any questions, please comment below or message me.